What's up, fish tank people? FishTankTV.com, Dustin's Fish Tank Sunday morning edition. Got my coffee, haven't showered yet. Got my little girl sitting next to me. What's up, Maya? What's up, Maya? She's loving it because my daughter Nola's with Grandma and Grandpa chilling. So I kind of feel, you parents out there, you got like, one or more, two or more kids, and you got like one of them missing. You feel kind of weird. I kind of feel weird that Nola's not around. But anyway. Wanted to do a video on a Sunday, and I wanted to talk about some certain things that I used to keep in the past, and kind of some some species that I used to keep back in the day. You can tell I just woke up. I'm not too sharp getting the coffee rolling. Figure I'll show you the 220 while I tell you a story. So 02 Dodge Viper, I believe is the guy's name, commented on my channel, a recent video asking about kind of stuff I used to keep. Yes, I read the comments. I'm getting back to them. This time last week I was waking up hungover, getting ready to go to a Browns game, which, by the way, we pulled out the victory in the ugliest 6-3 battle ever. So good luck for us today against the 49ers. But I want to talk today about piranhas. I know a lot of young people watch this channel, and everyone has this enticement with piranhas. I did, okay? And here's how it goes. I'm 30 years old. When I was about let's see here, I couldn't drive. So when I was probably 14 years old, I got a 29-gallon aquarium, which I had a bunch of goldfish in. I moved those goldfish into my boy Jolly's pond. In a trade for an Emperor filter, which, by the way, I think he got the better of the deal because my goldfish were sweet. When the goldfish moved out, the piranhas moved in. I bought piranhas that were probably the size of a nickel at the Pet Supplies Plus. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pet Supplies Plus. They got the green shirts, and I worked there like the day I turned 16. They hired me because I lived there. Basically, I was always buying fish and talking fish, and they were like, hey Maya. So they hired me. I bought piranhas. I took the piranhas home. I bought 6 of them, and these were the only fish I had. And I believe there's value in keeping just like one tank. I think you can focus more. So some of you guys that get multi-tankitis, you're better off doing I'm rambling here, but you're ready. They were my only tank, I believe, at that time. So I was really focused on them. And I took them home and I put them in my 30-gallon tank, 29-gallon tank, which I thought was ginormous because I was 14 and that was ginormous. And so I put them in this huge tank. I'm moving over to sit with Maya here, and put them over in the 29-gallon tank, and they instantly hid. And they hid underneath this rock, little like arch thing that I had, and they didn't move. But when I went to feed them, they ate well. So I'd feed them flakes, and I fed them whatever. One time I put in a Mumba cichlid, I believe it is, some sort of African. I want to say it's a Mumba or I'm not sharp on my cichlids because I don't keep them anymore. But anyway, I put this one cichlid in there, and he dominated them. I mean, he had them like in one corner. They didn't ever come out. The cichlid just whooped them. And then one day the cichlid was gone. They just turned on him in the middle of the night. So I had the piranhas, and they started getting bigger. They got to about the size of $50 or so, the coin, not like half of a dollar. And I decided to put them in a 55. I got a used 55 that was cracked. I don't advise this, but I got advice from a guy named Chuck. And what I did was the back corner of the tank was cracked, and it was an old parakeet cage. And I covered a plate of a 5-gallon tank, and I just like took a piece of glass, entirely covered it in silicone, and stuck it over the crack, and boom, fixed. So the tank never leaked. So I had a 55-gallon tank with piranhas. All I had in there was fake plants, brown gravel, under gravel filter, and then I started falling in love with the Whisper filter. So I soon had like, I don't know, like 3 filters or something ridiculous on the back of a 55-gallon tank, feeding these piranhas. So the piranhas, I got into high school, I still had the piranhas. They started to get bigger. I started to feed them cooler stuff. I don't recommend keeping piranhas because they're very, very timid. In the wild, they're timid. In fact, they were really, really timid all the time. Like, I would feed them, and it would take them forever to like come out. And then when I did see them, like, see how the rainbows are just chilling here? The piranhas don't do that. They sit, they hide. They're like worse than plecos, in my opinion. So I kept them in a basically barren 55 with a few miscellaneous fake plants floating around. This was before I was even really into planted tanks, by the way. And so they sat there, and I'd feed them, and then every now and then I'd feed them a mouse. And I would, they were about the size, the piranhas were probably a little bigger than my biggest rainbow at this point. And I'd go to Pet Supplies Plus, and I'd buy them a mouse, and I wouldn't feed them for like a month, and I'd throw the mouse in, and the piranhas would devour the mouse. They'd pull it down by its tail, and they'd rip it to shreds. There'd be like a bloody cloud and like little pieces of fur, and the mouse would be gone. And to a 15, 16-year-old boy, yeah, it was pretty cool. The problem is the amount of how cool it was didn't like justify the amount of time that they sucked. Does that make sense? So they were cool. They were cool for like 5 minutes, but then they sucked for the remaining amount of time. And they were just kind of not a very attractive fish, no real good color. And but I kept them because they were like, oh, that's sweet. Dustin has piranhas. Wow, you know, stick your hand in there. I used to clean the tank with my bare hand. I never worried about them nipping me. They were very, very skittish. They're very, very timid. So I kept them. I had them all through high school, moved out, went to college. My dad took care of them. He fed them. One day he called me, they were sick. I had to like give my dad instructions on how to do water changes. So anyway, they're sick. Midway through the year, I moved into a fraternity house. Freshman year, by the way, it was a bad idea. My grades went to shit. I had a hell of a good time though. And I moved, and I decided that the piranhas needed to come into the fraternity house. I won't say much about it, but chicks dig piranhas. I had them in my 55 on a stand, and I'd come home from the bar, and there would be like chunks of hot dog and like other miscellaneous food that people would come into my room and just try to feed them all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'd come home, and there'd be like chunks of hot dog and turkey slices and what have you. One thing I will say, if you're keeping bigger, meatier fish that need high protein, I did feed them beef heart. I went to the grocery and the butcher, and I bought a big beef heart because it was a really, really high protein content. Showing the Bozemonte acting crazy this morning. I want to get them spawning. Look at that action. That's good. They just woke up. I just turned the lights on. See them? So I fed them beef heart. And then that summer, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to move them home, and I was kind of sick of them because they were kind of boring, and they just really done everything that they could do for me. And they ended up being about the size of I don't know, not quite the size of my hand, probably 6-8 inches. And at this point, there was 4 of them. A couple of them died. They were really a big waste producer too. So as horrible as the story ends up, I ended up just leaving them in my fraternity house over the summer. I had guys take care of them. Of course, they weren't able to take care of them. And when I came back, there was like, well, the tank ended up getting destroyed. The fish died. Then the tank got destroyed, and there was like a broken 55 with like just everything trashed basically when I came back. And that just happens when you live with college boys. But the fish didn't make it over the summer. I did come back and throw their skeletons on the side of the beta house at Ohio University, so they're probably still there. But the bottom line is that piranhas stink. I don't like them. I'd much rather keep peaceful fish that can get along with others, that can swim around. I mean, you just don't get this kind of behavior out of piranha. Like, look at this, just Bozemonte I've just been following around. Like, you don't get that kind of behavior out of piranhas. Interesting note about piranhas. They said they're like super feared in the wild, and they'll eat humans and everything. The only time they ever get attacked by humans is if there's like a ton of blood in the water, and like someone's like cleaning fish nearby, and a human goes in the water, because then they're rabid, because then they are probably eating. When Theodore Roosevelt went down to South America, they blocked off the river and put like a bunch of hungry piranhas in there, and then threw in a cow for show, and the cow, of course, was demolished. So that's how they've gotten their ferocious reputation. But they're really very timid fish. They swim in schools for protection in the wild. I don't know. I don't recommend them. I mean, you see them in, you see them in like tanks and stuff like that in like zoos, and the setups always suck. They're always in like dim lighting. They never look cool. They're not like a display type fish. So as far as what I'm trying to do, piranhas ain't it. So that's the piranha story on a Sunday. I guess you can call that a Species Sunday. We're going to talk about some of this stuff a little later. Oh, also, big shout outs to everyone that's coming at me from Lithuania, Denmark, Colombia. I'm getting a lot of cool international people talking to me, so love hearing that. It's always exciting. My man in the UK just started a tank. Loving it, so appreciate all the feedback, and glad to be making videos on a Sunday, folks. Piranhas suck.